besides patent application, when you decide to start a company, what are the other kind of IP rights that an entrepreneur should try to protect, or at
Yeah.
least have a look at? What would be your advice on that point?
Well, first of all, when you start up a company, you need a company name. You go to the Chamber of Commerce and then you file for a company name. So this is the first issue. A company name does not give you protection for that company name. It is simply a name in which you are going to do trade for services in Belgium only. Now, of course, if your name is Philips and you are starting a electronics company and you would also try to use your family name Philips, that should normally not be a problem because it's your family name. But if you would try to protect Philips as a trade name, then of course it might not be so easy to protect your own name as a trade name. So the first issue is think well before you start a company, what is the company name? Because you need it for the inscription of in the Chamber of Commerce. And the next thing is, of course, your URL or your website or your domain name. If your company name is still available as a domain name, you will have to register your domain name. You can do that to your telephone companies or via EuroDNS. You could try to find out whether your company name is still available as domain name. You should use really the website EuroDNS to look whether your company name is still available as a domain name, because the internet is more and more important. And it will cost you from 30 to 60 euro for each domain name for every year. The third layer of protection is to protect your company name as a trademark. A trademark is famous, or could be rather famous. If you would protect your company name as a trade name, you should register your company name before the Benelux Trademark Bureau. It will cost you around 300 to 700 euro for the registration of your company name, and hopefully your company name is distinguishing enough so that you are able to obtain a trademark protection. I think this is really an important issue, is the services or the goods that your company is providing, are you going to use a trade name to protect them and to distinguish them from other products on the market?
Is it enough to apply for a trade name in the Benelux, or do you need to apply in the other countries too? Is it a worldwide protection or not?
But it's not a worldwide protection. It's also based on some conventions. There is a community patent, for example, in Europe. For the other countries, it's also registration per country. Now, I would say on a general calculation of the cost, a trade name will cost you around €1,000 per country for the registration. And for the annuity, every 10 years, it will be a couple hundreds of euros. So it is a lot of money if you would try to protect your trade name in all the countries of the world. If you are a European company, I would say, okay, imagine that Europe and the US might be sufficient. But if you, of course, are interested in India and China, eventually it might be a costly affair. Now, the good thing about trademarks is you don't need to register them at the same pace, because the requirement of novelty is not available for registration of trademarks. If, for example, you would forget, let's say China, there is still a possibility to file a trademark in China if you can prove that your company has used the name as a trademark in other countries or as a trademark in China, but not registered. So you can register your trademark. But a trademark it's not a cheap thing, of course, because it's a registration country by country. For a patent, you should consider around 5,000 to 10,000 euro per country. So that's even a far more costly affair than a trademark. But of course, a patent will give you broad protection on your invention.
as the people can also see from your answer, you definitively need an expert at least when you decide to file patents, if you decide to apply for a trade name, because these stuffs have some specificity that request a lot of experience and expertise. So thank you very much for all the answer, Johan.
Thank you, Fred. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact me. What I would say is, I think patenting and intellectual property is a costly affair. But if you are not using the system, I think eventually it will cost you far more. But it's always nice to know in advance what the price for the services is going to be.